What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Facemask Fantasy. Welcome to another week in the NFL. It's Thursday Night Football, kicking off Week 4. NFC North rivalry. Packers host the Lions. Both teams 2-1. Both teams looking like the cream of the crop of the NFC North early. This is a big game. This is a huge game. Winner of this game makes an early season statement for NFC North supremacy. And plenty of fantasy implications in here. So we'll talk shop about this game. If you have start-sit questions that pertain to this game, we'll get them sorted out. Any other general questions we can, of course, go over as they come up. The big news in this game is that Christian Watson is expected to make his season debut, potentially on a snap count. I'm still firing him up if I have him, as long as he's when it becomes official that he's active, when he's completely removed from the injury report. What's going on, Iron? I'm putting Christian Watson in my lineup, and it's risky, but his ceiling is huge. This game is huge for both teams. If there's an opportunity for a play to be made, the Packers are going to draw something up for Christian Watson. I would be firing him up if I had him. Same goes for Aaron Jones. He's expected to return tonight. Again, they're saying it could be on a snap count, but Aaron Jones is on a snap count when he's healthy. They work A.J. Dillon into the rotation plenty when Aaron Jones is healthy. So for me, that's like, I don't think that means that much for me. I'm starting Aaron Jones tonight with no concerns. Once if and when it becomes official that he's removed from the injury report. Also in this game, David Montgomery, he's listed questionable for tonight. But he's expected to return. Now you're talking about, it depends on the depth of your running back situation, but you probably don't have too many other better options than David Montgomery. I'll put it that way. Let's see. What else do I have here? Yeah, it says cautiously optimistic about Aaron Jones. I think he will play, and I think you fire him up. Saquon Barkley was a participant in practice today. Still not holding out hope that he plays this Monday night. Jalen Waddle can go back into your lineups. Anthony Richardson can tentatively go back into your lineups. And the last piece for this evening, David Bakhtiari, Packers left tackle, is to be placed on injured reserve. We don't know if he's going to be able to get right for the season. So that hurts the overall potential ceiling of the Packers offense. We saw them have a great game against the Bears. As it turns out, the Bears look like still one of the worst teams in the NFL. So while you don't want to take away too much from a good performance, it has to be taken with a bit of a grain of salt when it happens against Chicago. They were still able to get 24 points against the Falcons in Atlanta. So this offense should ultimately still be okay for the most part. But Bakhtiari, when he's healthy, is a big part of that offensive line and probably the most important piece. And so that caps them a little bit. Okay, so start-sit questions that pertain to this evening. I'll be on the lookout for. If you do have start-sit questions for the rest of the weekend, the Sunday slate, we can look at those as well. We may need to get through practice reports or injury reports for some of the names, depending on who they are, or depending on who is potentially impacted by injuries on your roster, whether it's that player or a teammate. But we'll be able to go best in depth on start-sit questions that pertain to Sunday on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll also be live. Won't be live in the morning this time around because of the London game. I can try to make some time in between that game and kickoff, but I'll free up that slot for you guys to watch the game on Sunday morning. But I can still be available in Discord if you have questions. We'll make sure we get start, sit, help sorted out. That being said, let's keep it moving. Iron, Laporta or Kittle? That's tough. I mean, Laporta's the tight end, what, 3 or 4 right now? Kittle has still had 2 very good weeks recently. That's a true toss-up, man. It really is. Kittle's obviously the more proven player. Laporta's off to a ridiculous start and should continue to see plenty of usage. No Jameson Williams, David Montgomery potentially still on a pitch count. You should expect to see Laporta see the second most targets again tonight behind Amon-Ra for the Lions. As for Kittle, you know what you're getting. Been one of the top tight ends year in, year out. It's possible that game script is not in his favor in this game against Arizona. Although Arizona has been feistier than maybe people were expecting this year, at least to start things out. They had a 4-score lead against New York in week 2. They blew it. They're still not a good team. So blowing 4-score leads for bad NFL teams is not, totally unexpected. It happened for Arizona, but, they had it to begin with, and then they beat Dallas last week. This is, they're still not that good, but they're feisty. So maybe this is a little bit more of a game or closer of a game than maybe it looks like on paper, especially because it's a division game. They're both division games. I only call out the latter because Arizona is a tier below from talent perspective. San Francisco, several tiers down. So that could be a bit of an equalizer, maybe. At the end of the day, I would say San Francisco probably just handles their business and gets it done. And so maybe if you don't want to bank on the game script, go with Laporta. But Kittle is still, should still be very safe to use. It's also possible the 49ers, we have to monitor the situation with Deebo Samuel. He hasn't been practicing. So obviously if Deebo can't go, Kittle sees increased usage, but we're not going to know that until Sunday. So you could roll the dice on that, or if you want, rolling the dice, I would say is going with Kittle. Maybe playing it safe is Laporta. That's the best I can do there, Iron. It's a toss-up ultimately. Maybe Kittle's the roll of the dice if you want to wait if Deebo doesn't go, or you could play it safe and just play Laporta tonight. Dell or Myers on Sunday. Dell's been playing pretty well, and Myers might not be might not have Garoppolo. So tentatively, I would probably go Dell. Montgomery or Gibbs, I would probably fire up Gibbs just because he's the one who's not on the injury report. That's kind of what it just comes down to. Montgomery's expected to play tonight. Is he still on the injury report? He is. Likely to play, though. He's likely to suit up, but he's the guy on the injury report. So I guess I would just kind of feel a little bit safer about Gibbs if you can only choose one. If you can only choose one, I would feel safer about Gibbs. Yeah. But Montgomery will steal some of the valuable touches, the goal line work. That being said, I would feel safer about Gibbs. Should you trade Sanders, Lockett, and Godwin for James Cook and Olave? If you're getting James Cook and Olave, then yes. If you're getting Sanders, Lockett, Godwin, then no. But if that trade is available and you're acquiring James Cook and Olave, do that trade. Do that trade. 100%. Would I start Zay this week? Zay's playing the Falcons, not the Browns. Or roll the dice with Quentin Johnston. I thought I last saw that Zay Jones is like a long shot to play. He missed this past week. Oh, he's off. Is he off the injury report? Or sorry, is this Zay? This is Zay Flowers. I defaulted to Zay Jones. Is this Zay Flowers? So Zay, I assume. Okay, so Zay Flowers is playing the Browns. Got it. My bad. I defaulted to Zay Jones for some reason. Zay Flowers against Baltimore or Quentin Johnston? I mean, Flowers, because he's actually proven something. He's done something. Just because a guy has a new opportunity doesn't mean that he's going to fire right away. Like Zay Flowers has been playing and playing well. Quentin Johnston hasn't done a whole lot yet. He has his opportunity now, but let's see if he does it on the bench first. When you have an option like Flowers, you fire him up instead. Flowers. Is Khalif Raymond a solid cat? If you can fit amon-ra and Goff into your lineup by doing that, then yes. Amon-Ra is the far and away top option for tonight. He's chalk, but you have to roll with him. You can stack him with Goff. I would do that. If you can get those guys into your lineup by pulling that off, then yes. Start David Montgomery tonight or move either to Godwin or Watson. I tentatively want to believe in Watson. Godwin's not going to be on a pitch count, but it's a tough matchup against New Orleans. That game is going to be like 16-13 or something like that. I just don't see a lot of points scored in that Saints game, that Saints Bucks game. Maybe like a 20-17. I just don't think there's going to be a ton of points scored in that game. So I feel like Godwin has a ceiling, and it's not a very high one. In half PPR, maybe you just I would say playing it safe is David Montgomery. If you think you need the upside play, if you're looking at your line, or if you're looking at your matchup and you think to yourself like you're the underdog and you need some upside, I would maybe try to roll the dice with Watson. Otherwise, if you don't feel that way, like fair matchup or something that you feel like is in your favor, maybe just play it safe and play Montgomery. What's going on, Greg? Good to see you, dude. Yeah, Iron. Sometimes that's all it takes. If you like a guy, then play that guy. If you like Sam Laporta looks really good. I like rooting for Sam Laporta. Then play Sam Laporta. If you just like, if you like rooting for him, then obviously we want to, make the most thought out, decision and something that we've actually put thought into and kind of tried to dissect a little bit. You want to do that to a T, but sometimes it just comes down to, it can be easy as I just want to play that guy. So yeah, fire him up. Fire him up. He should do well tonight. Would I start Wicks if Watson's on a snap count? if this is DFS, whether it's DFS or just a deep league, I don't think so because Dubs is still there, Jaden Reed is still there. I don't think. See, these pitch count things to me are can be a bit deceiving. Not that they're not true, but if there was any concern whatsoever this early in the season, if there was any actual concern at this point, this early in the season, then these guys wouldn't be playing at all. They wouldn't be playing at all. So I think Watson will be fine in there. Therefore, I'm not looking to pivot to Wicks. I get the thought process in DFS. I get the idea. Don't know I can go that far down the depth chart, though. As far as Reynolds, I know he goose-egged last week, but he's not on the. But he's not on the injury report. Played 70% of the team's snaps. Just didn't do anything with them. Which I guess makes sense, right? He probably saw AJ Terrell last week against the Falcons while Amon-Ra was in the slot. So he probably wasn't able to get anything going in that matchup. It's not going to be that much easier tonight if the same plan of attack is implemented and the Packers put Jair Alexander on Reynolds and let their slot corners handle Amon-Ra. If that's the case, there's more considerable downside. Although maybe not an actual goose egg. And yeah, with Aaron Jones, I'm firing him up. I'm firing Aaron Jones back up. The Packers haven't been able to get anything going on the ground in the past couple of games. A.J. Dillon has not looked good, so they need to get Aaron Jones back in there, and he plays on a snap count anyway. Like, A.J. Dillon will still get in there, and he will get work. He will get snaps and touches because the Packers never really deploy a bell cow in their backfield, even when Aaron Jones is 100%. He's always been a guy who has seen 55 to 60% of the snaps and touches. It's always been a committee. That's just how the Packers have operated in recent years. It was Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and now it's Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The backups have always gotten involved. So, for me, a snap count in the Packers backfield, that's already the case, so to speak. It's just a different way of saying it. I think Aaron Jones sees his regular complement of snaps tonight in an important game, in a huge early season division matchup. These guys, and along with Christian Watson, these guys wouldn't be out there if there was any actual concern, tonight or for moving forward. That doesn't mean that the pitch count isn't necessarily false. It's just that if these guys are good to go and they're good to play, then there's not as much to worry about here. So I'm firing Aaron Jones up. Drop Dubs for Josh Downs. I'm not there yet. Not there yet. I would hang on to Dubs. I'm not just because Christian Watson is back, I don't want to drop Romeo Dubs. Let me see, Iron. I see you just asked something else. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. I would probably fire up Watson tonight. I would probably fire up Watson tonight and just roll the dice on his upside because Garrett Wilson has none of it. I probably would bench Garrett Wilson. Of these options, I would probably bench Garrett Wilson. It's hard to buy into DJ Moore. Um, your safest options, Iron, are Pickens and Flowers. If you think you need upside, then I would go Watson. Um, and then I think even in full PPR, I probably want to play those running backs: Pierce, Williams. Chain is a little riskier, but in this type of matchup against Buffalo, where we're expecting lots of points, I mean, I might be rolling the dice on that upside. So if you want to play it safe, Pickens and Flowers, and then I would go Eckler, of course, and then in order, Kyron Williams and Damian Pierce for the flex. If Eckler's healthy, A Chain to the bench. If he's not, you could put A Chain in the flex and roll with and roll with Pickens and Flowers. So hopefully that helps, Iron. Steven, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Do we trust Montgomery tonight? It depends, I guess it depends on your options. If this is, you know, if you're looking at your running back depth and you say to yourself, this is my best guy who, if healthy, among these other options, then I would fire him up. It depends on who your other running back options are. And if these three guys in the flex, Tutu, Collins, Tank Dell, are a part of that conversation, probably need to play Montgomery over all of them. I would at least say of these guys, I'm probably playing Montgomery over all of these wide receivers. He's going to get the goal line work. He'll get he'll get the more valuable touches when he's in the game. As for the wide receivers, probably I like Nico Collins to kind of bounce back a little bit. He had a quiet game. I think he gets right at home. Oh, it's need two. These are all good options. Collins and Dell are teammates. Tutu's got upside. Whereas Nico and Tank are maybe a little safer. Rams are on the road in Indianapolis. Second straight road game for them. Houston's at home against Pittsburgh. Tough matchup. Tough matchup for their offensive line. I think I would say Nico for sure. I'll say Tutu is safer than Tank Dell based on the matchup. So tentatively, I would go Nico and Tutu. But if you think you need upside, like Tank Dell has made a couple big plays last week, Dell is a little bit more of an upside play. I would say Nico for sure. Probably 2-2 to play it safe. Dell is more of an upside, like is more of a long shot play, I would say. But as far as Montgomery, it depends on your other options. I think you can trust him to get goal line work tonight. Um, Short yardage, potentially some obvious rushing situations. I mean, there's fantasy value there if he's getting the goal line carries. Yards are not as important, and I think he'll get those tonight. It would just depend on who your other options are. But appreciate the super, Steven. Thank you. Hopefully that helps. Just going back up to the top, or where I stopped, where I left off. Trade DeAndre Swift. Okay, there's lots of guys. And this is the IDP. Got you. Trade DeAndre Swift, Gus Edwards, Drake London, and Fred Warner for ETN and David Montgomery. That feels like a lot, but also you would be getting. You're probably getting the two better players in the deal, even though you're the one giving up 4 guys. Swift is on a tear, so stock up on him. Edwards got a little banged up in this previous week 3. So neutral on him. London stock is all over the place. I mean, he'll have minimal production some weeks because the Falcons can't throw the ball. He'll have some good weeks. He's seeing red zone targets. When the Falcons get into the red zone, they're targeting London. So that helps, but he's inconsistent. It depends on who if your wide receivers are solid, then I would probably say yes, make the trade. If your wide receivers are solid, I would say make the trade. Addison or Hollywood? I like Addison. And it's a tougher matchup for Marquise Brown against San Francisco. I would go Addison tentatively. I would go Addison over Hollywood. Thomas, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't think there was that, I just thought I'm just holding dubs and that's kind of all there is to it. I wasn't sure if that I originally first thought didn't think that much like more needed to be said. I'm sorry if you felt differently. I mean, I'm taking like a pretty safe player with a good quarterback over Josh Downs. Like Love is just a little bit more seasoned than Anthony Richardson. Like, and for me, and is playing pretty well. Like, I'm just going to take that. That's kind of all it is. But I mean, I appreciate the question. Sometimes I try to keep it moving a little bit for folks because I know that a lot of people are waiting. And I do give a lot of thought to certain things, especially the members. If you're interested in becoming a member, and supporting the channel, which nobody has to, but if you feel so inclined, I'm more likely to give a little bit more thought process to any of those questions. And if you're kind enough to offer a super like Steven, again, not necessary, but if you feel so inclined, I'll try to give a little bit more thought process into those as well. That's not to say I don't see other questions from the general public and want to make sure that I help out. I thought that one was maybe a little bit more cut and dry. So sorry about that. I would rather keep Dubs. He's been a little bit more consistent. He's had his 2 strong weeks have been a lot better than what Downs has done thus far. And playing with Jordan Love, I'd rather have him right now. Thanks. What do we got here? Rest of season, Greg, if I had to pick two between Nico, Tutu, Palmer, Dubs, and Elijah Moore. So, yeah, I do like Elijah Moore. For better or worse. And I know it's not been spectacular so far, but I do think Deshaun Watson looked a little bit better last week. I thought he played better last week against Tennessee. Moore had 9 catches. It was only for 49 yards, so low, but 9 catches there, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of usage. That's a lot of volume. So I like Moore. I know Palmer is has a little bit more of an opportunity now with no Mike Williams, but not more than these guys. I mean, Nico should be steady. Tutu should have his weeks, but he's going to be volatile if Cup can come back healthy. And right now, I think we kind of have to, at least right now, we have to operate as if like Cup will come back in some way, shape, or form. Rest of season, I'll say Nico first, I think. Dubs and Moore are in like the same bucket for me. Then Tutu, pending Cooper Kupp's return, and then Palmer. That would be for rest of season. Kickers rest of season. I feel like I haven't had I feel like I used to get a lot of kicker questions, and we haven't gotten as many this year, or I haven't gotten many this year, which is fine. That's okay. I don't mind. Don't mind not talking shop on kickers, whether we do or not. As far as rest of the season, I mean, Butker is fine. He's attached to Patrick Mahomes. There's going to be ample scoring opportunities every single week. So Butker is fine. If you don't have like Justin Tucker, Harrison Butker, the obvious studs, I don't know, is Tyler Bass and Daniel Carlson, are those guys in that conversation again this year? I guess Carlson is. After that, I will say, I mean, I'm intrigued by the Cowboys kicker. I kind of like that rookie Brandon Aubrey. I'm looking for kickers with good attached to good defenses. The Cowboys have one of the better defenses. And a good offense that is going to be in scoring position enough times where there's ample opportunity, coupled with a defense that can like create opportunities. The Cowboys can do that, even though they lost Trayvon Diggs. So I like Brandon Aubrey rest of season. So along that same wavelength, Jake Moody should be good rest of season. Kind of like those guys. But Butker's good. Butker's fine. Oh man, any reason to fire up Jaden Reed over Drake London this week? Yeah, I mean, it feels gross, doesn't it? With London. I don't think we can go that far. Jacksonville's playing pretty well on defense. Man, that's volatile, but Drake London is volatile right now. Let's look at Jaden Reed. Let's take a look at Jaden Reed. been a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 outside of a strong performance in week 2 where he caught 2 scores. I don't feel great about it, but I think I have to go with Drake London for one more week over Jaden Reed. I think I have to do it for one more week. If Reed outperforms him this week, then it's over. Then it's a wrap. But with Christian Watson back, Luke Musgrave playing well, Romeo Doubs playing well, I think I got to still fire up Drake London over Jaden Reed. Still got to fire up Drake London over Jaden Reed, but it's getting close. What can you get for trading Puka and Mostert? I mean, you're talking about 2 of the hottest names on the market right now. So if someone wants to buy both of them, I would ask for one stud. I would ask for one stud. Puka's name is really hot right now. And Mostert looks like a top 15 option rest of season. I would ask for a bona fide stud. If you could use a stud running back a little bit more than a stud receiver, ask for a stud running back. If you could use a stud wide receiver a little bit more, then ask for a stud wide receiver. Depends on what you need, but I would ask for a stud. They're 2 of the hottest names right now. I would ask for a stud. And should you trade away Godwin and Lockett for Waddle? If you can make it happen, I mean, if you're trading 2 good players for a great player, like in a vacuum, yes. Anytime, yes. I don't know if anybody's going to do it, if that person's actually willing to do it, but if they are, then yes. Like if you can turn 2 good players into a great player and you're not killing your team's depth by doing it, then yes. Like in a vacuum, yes. And if you've got another wide receiver or 2 that can hold it down for you in addition to Waddle, then yes. You only pause on that is if you have like non-playable wide receivers as your other options. But if that's not the case, then yes, make the trade. And Greg, let me just see. Yes, I would not play Wilson over Debo or Amari Cooper. There's no way at this point. Wilson is a wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 potential for rest of season. His wide receiver 1 chances are as long as the Jets hold steady at quarterback, Garrett Wilson's wide receiver 1 potential this season is gone. Yeah, so if you have Debo and Amari Cooper, you play those guys. Now, Debo's been on the injury report, so you may have to pivot off of him this week. But moving forward, rest of season, no question. You're starting those guys over him. Starting those guys over Garrett Wilson. 2 running backs and a flex. Kamara, Gibbs, Brees, Puka, Moss. You have Olave and Keenan Allen right in there right now. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I think you got to play in standard. You got to play Moss. I guess I would play Brees. In standard over Gibbs. Like some of Gibbs's value comes in the form of like pass catching opportunities. So that becomes like a nothing burger for you in standard. Moss, Brees, and my flex. I guess it would be Gibbs. If you start Gibbs tonight, put him in one of your running back spots. That's a PSA for everybody. Reminder, if you have a player going tonight who is in your flex, move him out of your flex, put him in his position spot. If it's a running back, Put him in a running back spot. If it's a wide receiver, put him in a wide receiver spot. Maximize your flex's potential and opportunity all the way through Sunday. Don't handicap yourself in the case of in the event of an emergency, a random injury pops up. You never know what's going to happen. Move those Thursday night football players out of your flex and into one of their position spots. I guess I would do that. Two running backs in a flex. I would go I would go Gibbs. I would go Moss, and I would go Brees. Yeah. If it was half PPR, I would probably say fire up Puka over Brees. Because it's standard, I tend to lean Brees. But if it was half PPR, I would probably say fire up Puka. And then one running back and one flex between Montgomery, Connor, Ayuk, Nico. I guess I would play your running backs. I would play Montgomery and I would play Connor. Connor's off to a strong start. Montgomery is going to he should, in theory, get the valuable touches this tonight. The goal line carries, short yardage situations where he could, and if he's on the goal line, get a cheap score. Yards not going to matter as much. I would say your running backs, especially with Ayuk still being on the injury report. Montgomery and Connor. Watson, Lamb, Puka, or Tank Dell. You can only pick one. CeeDee Lamb. If you can only pick one, then CeeDee Lamb. It has to be CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he's a stud. All these guys look good, but CeeDee's still that dude. You got to play him. Got to play CeeDee Lamb. Have to. Musgrave's going to play tonight. I think Musgrave's a great streaming option tonight. I think if you don't have an obvious tight end play, Kelsey, Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Laporta on the other side of this game, I think Musgrave is a great stream tonight. Even with the return of Christian Watson. Yeah, I mean, he'll have a chance to score if they get in the red zone and they can't convert if they can't convert on a running play into the end zone. That could be a classic, bootleg to the tight end. Musgrave looks, I like Musgrave's opportunity tonight for sure. Let's see. Roschon, Jerome, Ford, A-Chain, and Montgomery pick 2. Cleveland gets Baltimore. A-Chain gets Buffalo. Montgomery tonight on the road against Green Bay. Roschon, I think they're hosting the Bears, I'm pretty sure. Or they're hosting the Broncos, I'm pretty sure the Bears are. They're hosting the Broncos, I think. In full PPR, I mean, Montgomery feels like the guy that you have to fire up. And Ford had a nice day. He's the Browns guy moving forward. I would probably go Montgomery and Ford. A-Chain is a Hail Mary. I mean, he's a little bit more of a home run hit. If you think you need big upside, then maybe bench Montgomery for A-Chain. But if you think you can play it safe, I would probably play Montgomery. And then I think Ford has to be in. Roschon on the bench for one more week. A-Chain is a home run play if you need it. But in the most likely scenario, I would say Montgomery over A-Chain, unless you feel like you need a Hail Mary. Ford for sure. Should you give up Puka to get Jonathan Taylor? That's an interesting one. Are you good at wide receiver? And do you need to take a chance on a running back? Because I would think Puka could net you potentially even a little bit more because Jonathan Taylor's fate remains a question mark. We think he's going to play, but like nobody can sit here definitively and say like when we're going to see Jonathan Taylor. I like that. I like that return in theory, but I would want to get something, at least something else back in return that I know is healthy now. Cooper Watson, Tank Dell. Yeah, it's a little thin. That's a little thin. I guess it would depend on your running backs as well. Yeah, it depends on your running backs as well. Start Fields or Goff. Man, Fields. I don't know what to do with him. I still think he has to be ranked as like a top 10, maybe closer to top 12 option at this point. Whereas Goff is like, Goff is a QB2. You hope that Justin Fields can be a QB1. Jared Goff is a QB2. You hope Justin Fields can be a QB1. I would probably just play Fields for one more week. Yes, there's downside, but there's more upside. There's still a little bit more upside. I would probably just play Fields. Oh, sorry. Zach. Okay, real quick for pick 3. Lamb for sure. I would roll the dice on Christian Watson. And I guess I would go Puka over Tank Dell for one more week. I think Puka's a must start for one more week, whereas Tank Dell is a little bit more of like a very interesting flex play. I think Puka's a little bit more of a, in this short sample size, I think Puka's a little bit more of a slam dunk for now. Watson, Lamb, Puka. That's where I would go. And then right above it, Watson, Judy, London, and Quentin Johnson in need 2. Okay, I would go Watson and Judy. I would roll the dice on Watson's upside because I can't trust Drake London week to week. Like there will be some weeks where he's fine, and then there are some weeks where he's not. I can't trust him. If I have viable options, I have to start them over Drake London. He might outperform them, or he might catch 2 balls for 20 yards. They're very volatile. Aaron Jones' status has just been updated to healthy, so make sure to get him into your lineups if you have him. I would go Watson and Judy. I would go Watson and Judy. Can't trust London. If you can trust London, then good on you. Fire up Drake London. I can't trust him right now. Quentin Johnson's not in the conversation yet. He has to prove it first. Watson, Hopkins, Godwin. Is this pick 2 or need 1? Sorry, didn't see that at the front. Godwin, because he's healthy. Godwin safe, Watson upside. Godwin floor, Watson upside. Depends on what you need. I'm not super afraid of Christian Watson as far as like, will he be on a pitch count? He's got spike play potential any given week. And I'm a sucker for rolling the dice on big plays, personally. Godwin floor, Watson ceiling. Yeah. Godwin floor, Watson ceiling. Let's see. Rashad White, Christian Watson, Brees Hall, DJ Moore need to. I'm not going to include Quentin Johnston. He needs to prove it first. I can't put him in over the lineup just yet. These are good. Like, if you've got good options, if you've got viable options, proven options, all these guys are good. I can't consider Quentin Johnston yet. I can't do it. I know his opportunity is like here. It's now. It's right in front of him. I haven't seen him do it yet, so I need to wait. In full PPR, the running backs, I know it's not a good matchup for Rashad White, but he's getting the ball. He's getting the football, and that's all. That's what it comes down to. Like, he's getting the work. He's getting the work. So I would start Rashad White. I would also probably start Brees. Watson is, again, a ceiling play. I would call Christian Watson an upside play tonight. If you think you need it. I would say Brees is actually a little bit safer. I know he's gotten off to a slow start. Past 2 weeks have not been good. I feel like his opportunities, it should be a bit easier for him on Sunday Night Football. At home against the Chiefs, they do have a good defense. It is not the same level of Dallas and New England. The Jets passed 2 opponents, and they're at home. I would think Brees gets his volume within how much the Jets want to give him while he still works his way back from the injury. I would say your running backs, Rashad White, Brees Hall. If you have Eckler, Ramondre, and Moss, then I would hold Puka. If you can get it, I mean, I can't imagine somebody's going to give you Olave for him. You're probably not going to be able to get that. You're probably 1 for 1. You're probably not going to be able to get that. If somebody offered me that, I would say no shot. If someone offered me Puka and I had Olave and wanted Olave and offered Puka, I would say no. It's like no. Lawrence in London, Goff in Green Bay tonight, or Russ in Chicago. I would probably go Lawrence. I know he's off to a slow start. But he still offers QB1 upside. There's no like health concerns. I don't think it's how effective he's playing either. I think he's been a bit unlucky. Jaguars are dropping the football at a higher rate than league average. I think Lawrence is fine. I do. It's a tough matchup, but I would lean Lawrence over Goff and Russ. I would go Lawrence. Cortland Sutton or Jahmyr Gibbs in full PPR, I would probably have to say Gibbs. I mean, it's close. Full PPR, it's close, but I would still give the nod to the running back. If it's Jahmyr Gibbs is dicey with David Montgomery's return, but in full PPR, I think you still fire him up. Over like wide receiver 2 and 3 options. I'll play Gibbs over Sutton. Let's see. Aaron Jones, Ramondre, Tank Dell, Nico, or Lockett in half PPR. Those running backs. I'm not worried about Aaron Jones' snap count. I'm not. He already plays on a snap count. When healthy, he plays only 55 to 60% of the snaps, gets 55 to 60% of the snaps and touches. They're going to work other running backs in there anyway. Aaron Jones still comes in and delivers on elite efficiency. And then Ramondre is still getting the volume. Tough matchup, but I would be going with the running backs. I would be going with the running backs. I would take the volume. Take the volume, take the potential workload. Ramondre's probably gonna have to catch a few more passes. It's a tough matchup against Dallas, so maybe he catches the ball a little bit more. Give me your running backs. Aaron Jones and Ramondre Stevenson. I like those wide receivers, but not over those running backs. And Ruben, yeah, I gotta know it depends. It's not that black and white. Start over just because it's full PPR. I mean, in a vacuum, I prefer running backs, but there are still exceptions to the rule. Depends. Wide receiver has more value, but if it's a running back who I know is going to get work, who is going to get 15 touches, I'm still going to probably go with that running back. It depends. There's tiers to this stuff, you know. If you can get Bijan Robinson for Kirk Cousins and Najee Harris, I can't imagine somebody says yes to that. But if you can get that, then pull the trigger 100%. 100%. That I can't imagine somebody goes for that. But if they can, then yes, do that trade. Get Bijan Robinson. L Kamara or Flowers in half PPR. I would tentatively think that Flowers is the safest play here. I would tentatively think that Flowers is the safer play here. Dell is a little bit more boom bust. Tough matchup against the Pittsburgh defense. I would say Dell is your ceiling play and Flowers is your safe play. Kamara's a little dicey with Jameis in there against the Bucs defense. That's pretty good. Or they're decent anyway. They still got good names on that defense. Vita Vey. Devin White. Carlton Davis. Like, there's still good players on that Bucs defense. So I guess I would wait 1 week on Kamara. I would say Flowers is the safe play. Dell is the boom bust play. The all or nothing play. What's going on, Batty? Good to see you, man. I'm inclined to think that the Packers get the dub, but the Lions are good. This should be a good matchup tonight. Should be a good game. Huge NFC North early season implications because these are clearly the two teams in the NFC North, the Packers and the Lions. DJ Moore or Dubs? How far we've fallen with like certain players like DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, guys who've just like through no fault of their own are just in bad situations. And so we have to like severely cut back expectations. Dubs might be a little bit safer. Dubs might be a little bit safer than DJ Moore. He'll see Patrick Surtain. I'm just worried. The Bears, how can you have any faith in the Bears offense right now? How can anybody have faith in the Bears offense right now? Right. So I guess based on that, I'll take the guy in an offense that I have at least some faith in. I guess I'll say Dubs. Dubs is safer, I guess. That's wild, man. Dubs feels safer over DJ Moore for me. DJ Moore's a better player. Talent wins out sometimes. So we have to be careful how far we drop these guys. But I have no confidence in the Bears offense right now as a whole. trade Higgins for Montgomery. I don't mind moving Higgins for a running back, but that feels like a win for that feels like a big win for the person getting Higgins. It looks like you could use a running back. Like I would think you can get a little bit better value for T. Higgins than David Montgomery. I like David Montgomery, but T. Higgins is a tier above. I would think you could get a little bit more. I would think you could get a little bit more. Trade away James Cook for Aaron Jones. I like James Cook. There's two names in this trade that I really like. I like James Cook. Aaron Jones is older. He's coming off the injury. I still think Aaron Jones is that guy. I have to put him ahead. Like for rest of season, who I would rather have, it has to be Aaron Jones. So yes, I really like James Cook, but rest of season, I think I have to say I would rather have Aaron Jones. He's older, a little bit more volatile because of that. James Cook's in the better offense, attached to the better quarterback, but Aaron Jones is the much more proven player. Much more proven player. I would probably have to say Aaron. Yes, I would probably take Aaron Jones if somebody offered me James Cook for him straight up. Or excuse me, if somebody asked for James Cook and was going to give me Aaron Jones, I probably have to say yes to that. Probably have to say yes. Start Goff or Trevor Lawrence this week. Lawrence. I think somebody else asked this earlier as well. I still believe Lawrence has QB1 upside. This is not like a Justin Fields, the sky is falling situation. I think Lawrence has, for the most part, played okay. He's been the victim of some bad luck in the form of drops. I'm willing to hold steady on Trevor Lawrence. You know Jared Goff is a QB2. Whereas Lawrence week to week, I still believe in as a QB1. I'm rolling the dice with Lawrence for one more week. For me, the Lawrence situation is not as bad. It's not like the Justin Fields situation. Still has good weapons. Been the victim of some bad luck. Feel like that can course correct at any time. What's going on, Alex? Bucks or Colts defense? I would go the Colts defense. They're getting the Rams, second straight road game for the Rams. And on a short week. They had to play Monday night on the road, and now they got to play on a short week on the road. And Stafford threw two interceptions on Monday night against the Bengals. I would play the Colts at home. Bucks are probably going to see Jameis. They're going to see Jameis Winston, but they're on the road. And sometimes that's just the difference for me. A team playing at home is statistically, by the numbers, more likely to ultimately be in favorable situations than a team on the road. That's just playing the percentages, That's just playing the percentages. I'll play the Colts. You traded Olave and Brees for Bijan. That's a lot. It's a hefty price to pay, but you got a top 3 or 4 running back rest of season. So, as long as you have other good wide receivers, since you lost Olave and by the look of the trade didn't get another wide receiver in return, as long as you have other good wide receivers, then yeah, that's fine. Bijan is an upgrade over Breece Hall for this season. As long as you have other wide receivers to hold it down. But Bijan is the guy, if you had to rank guys the rest of the season, who would you want to have? Bijan would have to be ranked above those other names. What else we got? Palmer, Nico, Breece, Christian Watson, need 2. Nico. I would go Nico. I would go Breece. If you feel, I think Breece because is a play it safe guy. Watson's a ceiling guy. Nico is safe. I like Nico this week to bounce back. He had a quiet week last week, but he was really good the first 2 weeks. Back at home. I think I like Nico. Breece is the play it safe play. Watson is the ceiling play. Probably just go Breece unless I feel like I need a Hail Mary. Yeah. Let's see. Fields or Watson at quarterback. Yeah, I mean, Watson's in a tough matchup against Baltimore. I do think he played a little bit better last week. I would say Watson. Fields' ceiling is higher, but his floor is lower. The Bears are even though Fields could break out with a few, whether they're designed runs or not, or whether Fields just decides to say, screw it, I'm taking off. If that day comes, it hasn't happened through the first 3 weeks. He has not been running. Then we'll be back on track. But we haven't seen that yet. Therefore, because the Bears are they're so like difficult to trust. It feels like a ticking time bomb of when things are all just going to like implode on the Bears. Fields is riskier, but he has more upside. Watson is boring, doesn't have a huge ceiling this week in a tougher matchup, but is probably a little bit safer than Fields. Watson's a little bit safer than Fields. And the same thing, I'll throw this out there now. I see a question right below about starting Fields or Love. It's the same thought process. Same thing applies. Fields' ceiling is higher. Love is safer. Love is a lot safer. Fields' floor is much lower, but Fields' ceiling is higher if we're able to like. The last hope for the Bears for this situation is that Fields starts taking off again, starts running again. He hasn't done that yet. If he starts doing that, we'll be okay from a fantasy perspective. We don't know if he's going to do it because we haven't seen it yet, but we also know that that was what worked for the Bears last year. Fields just saying, screw it, I'm running. That's what makes his ceiling higher. If he doesn't do it, then his floor is lower. So it depends on what you need. If you think you need to take the risk and roll the dice on the upside, then play Fields. If you think you can play it safe, if you think you're the favorite in your matchup this week, then maybe just roll it with Deshaun Watson. Roll it with Jordan Love. If you're the favorite and you just need 15 to 17 points from your quarterback, 20 would be awesome. Anything else is gravy. If that's all you need, then maybe just play Deshaun Watson. Just play Jordan Love. But if you're like, you know what, whether I get 10 points or whether I get 10 points or 20 points, it might not matter because I'm the underdog in this matchup, then just play Fields and hope for the best. Jalen Warren or Gus Edwards? I would play Warren. I would think he gets involved, and Gus got banged up last week. And it's a brutal matchup against Cleveland. Brutal matchup against Cleveland. I would not want to play any Ravens running back this week. I don't want to play Gus. I don't want to play Justice Hill. I don't want to play. I don't want to play Melvin Gordon any week. But you get the idea. I would play Warren for sure over Gus Edwards. They have to keep getting him involved. That's just it. They have to keep the Steelers have to keep getting Jaylen Warren involved. Warren over Gus Edwards for sure. Start 2 running backs in a flex between Aaron Jones, Kyren Williams, Christian Kirk, and Marquise Brown. Those 2 running backs for sure. Get Aaron Jones in there. I'm not worried about his snap count. Get Aaron Jones in there. Get Kyren Williams in there. And I would just play it safe probably with Christian Kirk. Marquise Brown, week to week, is in a tougher situation. Tougher matchup against San Francisco overall. Floor is lower. I would just go Christian Kirk. I would just go Christian Kirk. Those first 3 names: Aaron Jones, Kyren Williams, Christian Kirk. Those are your starters. So yeah, go ahead and get Aaron Jones in there. I'm not scared about Aaron Jones. In fact, I got to drop somebody. I got to drop a few people to activate Aaron Jones. Make sure I go ahead and do that. Because I got to get him in there. All right. Good to go. Okay, let's see. Two backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. Well, you're starting Eckler. That's obvious. If he goes, if he doesn't, then if Eckler plays, then Eckler, Etienne, and Moss are your 2 running backs and flex. If Eckler doesn't go, then Etienne, Moss, and Ramondre are your 2 running backs and flex. And then you're playing Amari Cooper and Puka. You're not playing with your options. You're not playing Christian Watson tonight. Your 2 receivers are Puka and Amari Cooper, Eckler, Etienne, and Moss. And then if Eckler can't go, then you play Ramondre. Yep. Puka's a must start still. Amari Cooper's a must start still. Watson on the bench for 1 more week. And Alex, really quick, I see you down there. Love or Deshaun? Love. I guess Love. Slight edge to Love. While I do think Watson looked a little bit better last week, it is a tough matchup against Baltimore. Lions are good on defense, but I don't think they're as tough a matchup as Baltimore. I'll say Love. And he's getting Christian Watson back for some amount of time and Aaron Jones. So Love. I'll say Love. Would I trade away Tutu or for Nico Collins? Yes. Yes, I would. Because you have Kupp and you already also have Puka. So if Kupp comes back, then you have Kupp and Puka. If Kupp doesn't come back, you still have Puka. And Nico Collins is going to be his team's, probably week to week, his team's wide receiver 1 rest of season. I love what Tank Dell did last week, but I'm not ready to put him over Nico Collins for the Texans for the rest of the season. So yes, I would trade because you have Kupp and Puka. I would trade away Nico. Roll the dice, because if Kupp comes back, then Tutu is going to lose value sooner than Nico could. Yes, I would do that trade. I think that's fine. I think that's fine to get Nico for Tutu if you can pull that off. Yes, I would acquire Nico Collins for Tutu, especially because you have the other 2 Rams wide receivers. I got Fields or Love. Love is safer. If you think you need upside, then I would risk it with Fields for 1 more week. If Fields doesn't do it this week against a defense that just gave up 70 points, then we can drop Fields in 1 quarterback leagues. If he can't do it this week, he's never doing it. He's not doing it this season. PPR league where you can only start 4 wide receivers and running backs. Is that 2 receivers and 2 running backs? I would not drop DJ Moore yet, where you can only have 4 wide receivers on your team. That's a weird rule, or it's an interesting rule anyway. Different leagues do different things, but so you have a cap of how many receivers you can roster. I don't want to give up on DJ Moore yet. I know I just got done talking about how the Bears are a train wreck, but Myers himself is not going to have it. I think you can wait to make that move one more week because Jimmy Garoppolo is in the concussion protocol and probably not going to play. I don't know why. I forget where I saw this. I think it was on X, formerly Twitter. It might have been Edwin Porras, the fantasy points guy, or maybe it was just. Yeah, I think it was Edwin Porras for fantasy points. No player this year so far has entered concussion protocol and then gotten cleared to play that same week. So Garoppolo is probably not going to play. So you can wait one more week to see if DJ Moore is able to do something in this matchup. But I would not drop DJ Moore yet for Jakobi Meyers. Hang on to him for one more week. Hang on to him for one more week. Do you start Montgomery or Gibbs? In full PPR, you play Gibbs. In standard, you play Montgomery. In half PPR, I would probably still lean Gibbs. Although Montgomery is probably going to get the goal line touches. So it depends on your scoring. Full PPR, Gibbs. Standard, Montgomery. Half PPR, I would slightly lean Gibbs, but it's it's a little bit closer. But at least Gibbs is not on the injury report at all coming in, so that would probably be the deciding factor for me. And you have Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Watson. If these guys are all clear-cut guys compared to your other options, then fire them up. I'm not worried about Aaron Jones, to be honest. Maybe I get snake bitten by this, but I'm not worried about Aaron Jones. And Montgomery should see the goal line carries. So there's plenty of value there. Meanwhile, Watson is a walking spike week. So if these are your clear-cut top options, then fire them up. Nothing wrong with that. Watson or Pickens, I would play Pickens. He's going to operate as the wide receiver 1 yet again. Nothing scary about the matchup against Houston. I'm playing Pickens over Watson. If I have a guy like Pickens, who's, not on the injury report, not coming in with a hamstring injury, no concerns about playing time or anything like that, in a good matchup, I would just play Pickens. And how high am I on A-Chain? Given your pieces, I would probably hold him. I don't even know what you can ask for A-Chain after he scored over 40 fantasy points last week. And in this matchup against the Bills, where points are going to be scored, I think it's the highest. Is this week by the number? Is that the highest point total this week? I think it's like 54.5. I don't know if that's the highest, but if it's not the highest, it's probably top 3. We're expecting lots of points in this game. I would fire A-Chain up this week. So given that, I'm not trading him unless I get a really good name. You can't settle for anything less right now. And I also doubt that you'll get that. So I would just fire him up. There's lots of upside. If you can trade him for somebody who's multiple tiers higher than him, then fine. But right now, I mean, after a 40 burger performance, his trade value is kind of warped right now because probably you're not going to. He's probably a dude that is not involved in trades this week because the people who have him are going to overvalue him, and the people who are interested in him are not going to be willing to pay the price. So just start him this week. Just start him this week. And then hopefully we get a bounce back performance from Bijan Robinson in London this week. Is Musgrave a sketchy start? No, I think Musgrave's a good stream tonight. Unless you've got Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Laporta. I don't even know if I want to say Dallas Goedert at this point. But I guess you probably have to start Dallas Goedert. It's close, though. And Evan Ingram, I guess I would stay Evan. But like Musgrave or Kyle Pitts? Musgrave. I would say Musgrave's a pretty good stream tonight. It's risky. It's certainly risky with Christian Watson being back, but I mean, the guy looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Would I give Fields another start or play Richardson? If I have Anthony Richardson and he goes, this is the tier break for me of where I would be willing to bench Justin Fields. Or it's right around, I guess, like Kirk Cousins right now, to be completely honest, because Cousins is lighting it up through the air. I would start Richardson. This is a guy who I would play over Justin Fields because Richardson is doing the things that we were hoping Fields would do. Richardson is doing that now, or at least when we've last seen him in week 2, when we last saw him in week 2. Richardson is a guy that I would fire up over Fields. The guys I'm playing over Fields at quarterback are the obvious ones: Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert. Yep, still firing up Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. I'm putting in that tier, and I would say Anthony Richardson. The question mark is basically for me like Kirk Cousins. And to me, if you think you can play it safe, I would probably play Kirk Cousins over Justin Fields. Where the conversation starts is Deshaun Watson, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. Right now, Joe Burrow's value is a little down. The calf injury is clearly bothering him. He's not putting up the big numbers that we were hoping for. I would maybe start Fields over him. But like Anthony Richardson, yeah, over Justin Fields, yes. Thoughts on Puka? Sell high for a stud. Try to sell high for a stud. Probably not going to go for it. Someone's probably not going to go for it. But if you package like a depth running back and try to get a stud, do it. If you can't, then hold him. I don't know how aggressive I would be with trading Puka. I think his role is still very much something that can stay consistent, even if Cooper Kupp is able to return. We have no idea if Cooper Kupp is going to get right at some point this season. Picked up the hamstring injury in the offseason, suffered a setback before the season even started. You obviously hope and want to be optimistic about his chances, but if he can't get back to the level that we expect from Cooper Kupp, then Puka's not going anywhere. That being said, if you can package him and maybe like a depth running back, let's say like a Jaylen Warren, for a better option at wide receiver, for a stronger, more consistent, more proven option at wide receiver, I think you have to pull the trigger on that. If somebody's not willing to do that with you, then maybe just hold. But I mean, he's off to such a strong start. You can ask for a really good player for him. You can ask for a really good player right now. For Puka. And if you package like a depth running back, you should be able to get a really good, say, wide receiver. Let's see. Ayuk, Watson, Montgomery, or Aaron Jones. I don't. Is this one or two? I'm starting Aaron Jones for sure. And then given those names plus it's standard, I probably fire up Montgomery too. I would say Aaron Jones first, then Montgomery. If it start three, then I would probably fire up Watson just because Ayuk is still. We think he's going to play, but he's also on the injury report too, and we're not 100% sure. Did Ayuk log a limited practice today or anything like that? Yeah, he remained limited. Aaron Jones and David Montgomery for sure. In PPR, you have to start three: Kyron Williams, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Ayuk, and Calvin Ridley. Williams, Swift, and Ridley. Well, actually, if Ayuk is a full participant in practice tomorrow, then I would say Ayuk over Ridley. He's just performed better so far. Or well, he had a great week one. He was on his way to having a strong week two prior to the injury. If he's able to log a full participation practice on Friday, then I would probably fire up Ayuk over Ridley. But if Ayuk is a game time decision or questionable coming into the week, Ridley plays first. He plays in the London game. So if there's any question marks about Ayuk, then just fire up Ridley. But if Ayuk can go, if he logs a full practice tomorrow on Friday, then I would play Ayuk over Ridley. And then the running backs for sure. Williams and Swift for sure. Josh Reynolds or Marvin Mims. I'll take the upside on Mims. I will take the upside on Marvin Mims. I mean, the guy has been awesome the past couple of weeks. And Josh Reynolds goose egged last week. He probably won't do that again. But Mims is the upside play. I would play Mims. I would play Mims over Josh Reynolds. Yeah. As we hit the 7:30 time on the East Coast, I just want to let people know I'll probably be shutting this down somewhat shortly. I got to double check my lineups before my own lineups before kickoff. I see questions in the chat. I will get to them, but just want to say thank you everybody so far for the engagement. Appreciate y'all coming in, hanging out tonight, talking shop. I will have one more start sit stream this weekend on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I normally do a Sunday morning stream, but I will forego that this week because of the London game on ESPN Plus between the Falcons and the Jaguars. I'll be available in Discord if you need me. Second link in the description of this live stream and all the videos on my channel. So if you're not a part of the Discord, you can jump in there. If you have any Sunday morning start sit questions, I can plan to get to them, but won't have a start sit stream this Sunday because of the London game. I can still be available though in Discord. Just wanted to give that FYI. Appreciate you guys coming in, hanging out tonight before the game. I will get to these last few questions here before we wrap this up. Start Aaron Jones over Walker or A-Chain. You're projected to win big, then play it safe with Walker. I would play it safe with Walker. I love Aaron Jones, but if these are your options, let's go Walker. Let's go Walker. He's about as safe as it gets right now. I think he's got 4 touchdowns in his past 2 games. Let's just go with Walker, especially if you're projected to just play it safe. I would just go Walker over Aaron Jones. Is Gibbs startable tonight? In PPR, he is. In half PPR, he probably is. In standard with Montgomery returning, I would rather not. But in full PPR, Gibbs is startable. In half PPR, depends on your other options, but I would probably still fire him up. And Lawrence, your wide receivers are you got good options at wide receiver for sure. Yeah, I would say Yeah, maybe package him in a depth running back for a better running back or a better wide receiver. You can go in either direction. If somebody in your league wants Puka, really wants Puka, like believes in Puka to the moon, then offer a depth piece for a stud. Throw in a depth piece along with Puka and ask for a more proven player. If you can't get that, then just hold him. Just hold him. Would I start Musgrave or Goddard at tight end? Yeah, this is like kind of where we're at, right? Like, I do think that Musgrave is a really strong stream tonight. Goddard was obviously drafted to be a top 6 tight end, top 6 or 7 tight end. He kind of not kind of, he hasn't done that yet, but you still believe in him because of how volatile the tight end landscape is. I think Musgrave is a strong stream. I think Musgrave is a strong stream. I think he has more upside than Goddard, but I think he also has a lower floor than Goddard. Goddard has a boring floor. Musgrave has a potentially low. Goddard has a lower floor, but it's something that is kind of like you can count on. You're pretty confident that he'll at least hit the floor. Musgrave's floor is lower, but I would be willing to say at this point his ceiling is higher, just based on what we've seen. Ceiling's capped a little bit with Christian Watson coming back, but as it's pointed out, Musgrave has just missed a couple of larger plays so far this season. Thanks, Pure Dubs. That's true. Like, he just missed a long score, week 1. He's been regularly involved. His usage went up from week 2 to week 3 last week. I say Musgrave is a good stream, probably with a little bit more upside, but his floor is lower than Goddard, so it kind of just depends on what you need. And Zay Flowers or Romeo Dubs, I'm going Zay. I'll take, I think Bateman is not practicing. Odell Beckham is not practicing. It's a tough matchup for sure, but are we down to just Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers for the Ravens this week? I mean, Flowers might see 10 targets. Dubs is good. Dubs has been good, has had 2 really good weeks to start the season so far, but Watson is coming back, so that could cap usage a little bit. I think we've seen slightly more consistency from Flowers than we have from Dubs. Flowers. Flowers over Dubs. Flowers over Dubs. You don't play Purdy over Lamar. I know that I understand looking at the matchups. I get the line of thinking, but you start your studs. I got to start my studs. If you start Purdy, that's your own call. that's your own call. I can't do that, man. I would fire up Lamar. I would go ahead and fire up Lamar. What's going on, Fortune? Montgomery or Watson? I would lean the running back. Let me rephrase that. If you think you can play it safe, could be a close matchup, you just want to ensure points, Montgomery. If you think you need the upside and you're willing to roll the dice on a lower floor, then Watson. Montgomery's floor is higher, Watson's ceiling is higher. I would lean Montgomery. Just in a vacuum. I'll take the safe points that I'm pretty sure he should get in the form of goal line touches, short yardage situations, obvious rushing downs, obvious rushing situations. I would probably lean Montgomery. But if you think you need to swing a little bit more for a larger play, like a home run, then Watson. And Pure Dubs, you're welcome. Thank you to everybody. I know I got a lot of thanks tonight, and I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming in, hanging out, talking shop. And I appreciate everybody's patience. I've had people before like spam the chat like with the same question like 5 or 6 times. I haven't seen that in weeks, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your patience. I know sometimes it can take me a while to get to y'all. I do try to give you some, extended thoughts on your situation. Um, so appreciate you guys coming in. Appreciate the patience. Um, let's get these dubs tonight. Let's get these good performances tonight. With that said, I will probably go ahead and shut this down shortly. I don't see any new questions in the chat. I will hang on here for another minute or so just in case. And if you think I didn't get to a question, let me know before I wrap this up. If you don't get to it, or if something else pops up in the next half hour here or so, right before the game, hit me up in Discord. Second link in the description to this video. We'll monitor for start sit questions just before kickoff in case they come up. Otherwise, everybody enjoy the game. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening and your Friday. I will be back here on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Start sit questions for the rest of the slate. No Sunday stream this week as a result of the early morning London game between the Jaguars and the Falcons, but I will be available in Discord at that point as well if there are any last-minute Sunday morning start sit questions. Otherwise, thank you guys. Appreciate the engagement. Appreciate the patience. Everybody enjoy the game. I'll see y'all Saturday. Thanks, everybody.